As a sitting commissioner, I'll be voting on this issue in the near future. At this point, I am still open to learning about 2040. It's important that I let the process go forward and be open to what the public has to say about the plan. As far as what I've been doing lately, I've been spending a lot of time on the budget. So I haven't taken the time to study Horizon 2040 in the detail that it requires to actually develop a position on that question.
Oh, it absolutely hurts it. I don't think there's any question about that. It's Plan 2040, if I had one big issue, is that it is so restrictive about our boundaries within the city. There will always be, I think, external pressures on the city population because of our character. People want to move to Lawrence. So in addition to our own organic growth, you also have people from outside communities in Lawrence wanting and desiring to move to Lawrence, with employment being their secondary concern because they just want to be part of our community. We have to recognize those pressures, and we have to recognize that that is going to put a strain on our affordable housing market. Now, I do think there's still some infill that can be done, and I absolutely agree with prioritizing infill development, but putting those barriers on our city limits, especially for the next 20 years, will do nothing but hurt us in the long term. We need to be open about being able to expand our borders as a city, knowing that this is a community that people want to join.
I believe as currently written and drafted, assuming that is how it eventually is passed, that it will hurt affordable housing in the city of Lawrence. We know now in the last 2 years, there's been more houses built in the county than built within the city limits. And so I not only think it'll have an impact on affordable housing, but I'm not sure that's the kind of planning we want to have for the city or for the county, and that we need to work with the county to make sure we're having houses built where we want houses built, and to have having those houses be affordable.
At play are considerations of concentration versus growth. It is expensive to grow. We need more infrastructure, services, police department, schools, etc. However, when zoning policies don't make sense, they don't make sense. And I think that's an easy way that we can get to work and make the policies reflect how our reality is and how we need to move our city forward and make more affordable housing. Our platform, though, incorporates some more dramatic restructuring. We're very interested in leveraging existing resources that we know work here in town. We've already used them. 5,300 families, households in Lawrence are paying too high of rent or housing costs. So we can't just tweak one thing. It has to be a lot of work to bring in permanently affordable housing options for all of those families.
I was on the Planning Commission during Plan 2040 adoption, and we spent a lot of time talking about that. I was one of a few commissioners who spoke out against that specific policy every time it was brought up. I do think artificially restricting where the city can expand through adopting policies that mandate higher costs to developers is going to increase the cost of homes. Again, that's not going to hurt the people who can afford it the most, it's going to hurt the people who can afford it the least. I've spoken with a lot of home builders and members of the Affordable Housing Advisory Board who agree that that specific policy is going to hurt home building in Lawrence.
One of the issues partly with that was the introduction, I believe, if I understand the discussion, of community benefit, and that many feel that it kind of came in a middle time in the process and maybe wasn't vetted as clearly or as long as many of the other items were. I share concerns about process in City Commission and as well as other boards. If the introduction of material or the use of material is a moving target for the public, then it's hard for people to advocate for the things that they believe in. So I share that concern. That being said, I understand the reason that they're doing some of the tiered efforts. I understand that. I think a lot of people do. So as this comes forward, it's going to pass City Commission before I ever get there. But as we go forward, we should definitely be talking about how we can get the public to understand these things, because there's clearly details that, let's say, the real estate community understand, but the broader public doesn't. And we need to have that conversation out in the open so that people understand. And where there's an actual disagreement, that will be clear, but where it's just a misunderstanding or where it's a matter of education, then that will also become clear.